So what do you think about a little podcast thing here?
It's starting to get interesting because it's starting to become a little clearer. Now I'm kind of getting this is not really about your float. This is really about connecting and conversation, communication, which ultimately connects to the float. But in the beginning, I just thought it was you guys are talking about floating, but instead it's going into somewhere else where I like some of the examples, like that kid the other day with fucking up the water.
Yeah.
That was good, trying to get it out of him. That makes for good listening.
Yep.
And somehow Terry yesterday was getting grilled, and listen, she took it well. I don't know if it's kind of part of the act that she's going to listen and like whatever, but it was interesting to hear that John kind of fire at her a little bit, and she just kind of takes it.
Yeah. Yeah. We hope ultimately you and I as business owners that there'd be an adjustment with with conversations like that. Well, let's say that there'd be a communication, and the communication would actually achieve something, right? Because if you're just talking to your staff and they're coming back in the next day and doing the same thing, you're probably not all too pleased, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed too, you do a good job at kind of, when these guys start talking, it gets way out there. You kind of bring it back in, and you help kind of put it together. You know what I mean? Like what people are saying, and you definitely, bring these guys conversation so it becomes one. And as you guys are growing in the conversation, it's been, it's funny because I've been talking to my electrician. I don't know if he's on listening, but I told him about the Office of Shaman, and he bought the book.
Great. Cool.
You're gonna see this guy floating. He's a good guy. He's a local guy.
Okay, cool. Who is he? I'll be on the lookout.
His name is Ryan. He's a tall, skinny. He's younger than me. He's like 30,
Okay.
but he's a really nice guy. And I was telling him about it, and if he bought the book, that means he's definitely interested in this type of thinking.
Yeah. Well, tonight we're going to talk about blame.
Yeah, it's a good
Interesting.
one.
Yeah. How do you figure that fits into what we're talking about, or even how do you see it come up in your business?
Listen, nobody wants to take blame. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to blame somebody. And I think the way you guys are kind of going about the communication is correct. If I just say it's your fault, man, you know what? To my employee, that's fucking belittling, even though it is their fault. You got to kind of think what you guys are saying. Maybe he's not wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's not right. You know what I mean? And kind of go at it a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Instead of just blaming the guy, trying to, hey, why are you acting this way? Why can't you concentrate on your job that's making you do this? Because like your pool guy, what I think is he can't concentrate on his job because he's got too much, social things, his parents, or all these other things going on in his head.
Who's this?
And that kid that was that messed up the floats for John.
Okay. All right.
When you guys were talking about him, I in my head I'm thinking this guy probably has issues with mom and dad and escape. And while he's trying to work, he probably can't concentrate because he's got these constant things in the back of his head. Like, I'll give you an example. If you're fighting with Maria, how well can you concentrate at work?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it does occupy my thoughts if I am, and I don't know about you and Iona, but Marie and I have done our share of fighting.
Yeah,
But we've
we all do.
also, but I don't mind. I don't mind that. There's nothing. It's fine. It's just where's the resolution going to be, and what we've been talking about here with people, and you had mentioned Jesse with the pool and Terry yesterday, is where's the resolution here? Where is it? And
Yeah.
so, like with me, with Maria, there wasn't much, if any, of it because I was sure that everything that I witnessed going on in my life was because of her, right? I mean, people do that.
Yeah.
I ran businesses based on that. If they only did this, or if I only had employees that would do this or remember this, or it's like, all right, well, maybe I have a leading actor role in all of that. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really starting to see now. At first, Ken, I thought, damn man, here's a successful lawyer going into a float business. And because you're successful, it piques my
Mhm.
curiosity. Bro, if you're a
Obvious.
loser, I'd be like, you're crazy. But because of your status,
Mhm.
it piqued my interest. And then now I'm seeing why this is for you. This is a work of passion for you, and you're good at it. You're understanding. I don't know, like for me, it's still new. This quantum physics type of whatever, how your brain works. And I tell you, you're almost bringing on like a doctor role in your business. It's like, yes, you're a lawyer and you have a degree, so I think people listen to you. But this is like, it's like mental. It's like coaching kind of, but different. You get these life
Yeah.
coaches that are just like bullshitters.
Yeah, but 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes before the call, I got a text. I haven't even answered it yet. It's from a client who got a document back, a legal document back, and his comment was, quote, well, they're being unfair. They're taking advantage of me. I don't like that they're taking advantage of me. I don't see how we're going to get this deal done because they're taking advantage of me.
Yikes.
Okay, so I've got some things to talk to him about. Because that it's not possible to see what's going on out there if you look at it through the eyes of people who are mistreating you or people are taking advantage of you. So yeah, I mean, this kind of work is like, this is business. I mean, this is business 101 in some sense, except it's not 101 because I never learned it in law school. Nobody ever taught me any of this. I never had a undergraduate class in it. The first time that I learned anything about this was when I met John, and I had to think about issues of blame. First about me, and then I saw, wow, they're not only in my business, they're in everyone's business.
Yeah, you know what? I've been really trying to understand myself too, and the approaches. Like that guy the other night talking about how he's a dick. You know what I mean? How you're talking about blame. These are all kind of similar. You know what I mean? And it's like myself too. I'm trying to think about the things that I do, and I shouldn't be so quick to think the way I think, or what's going to come out of my mouth. It's like it's making me second guess somebody, whether they're right or wrong. What the next comment's going to be.
Yeah, how about if there are no rights and wrongs? Not like that, at least, not in terms of like that that if he's right, I must be wrong,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing, right?
It's a funny how it's a weird thing to think about, because normally you just think if I'm right, you're wrong. But if you dig around in, like, I don't know, I think about like business situations. I'm right, you're wrong doesn't really mean that sometimes. I'm right, you're wrong might mean like, where's your head at? And I think that's where I'm interested. Sometimes I tell people you're wrong, but that's actually not the right answer. It's really, where's your head at that made this thing wrong? Not so much I'm right, you're wrong. Who cares?
Yeah,
Right. You know what I mean? You fucked up. I'm right, you're wrong. I don't want you to fuck up.
yeah,
Wow.
right,
You
right.
know?
So the Jesse thing, there was something happened. It had a consequence because those some things have consequences. And so like the question is like, what? Why? And so Jesse's answer was, I'm sorry I fucked up, right? That's really what he's been saying. But there's no resolution there because as
Yeah.
you say, what's the thoughts that he uses or used to go about that behavior and that action? That's where the rubber meets the road. That's, I mean, that's the business issue.
Right. And that's why I thought, like, when you guys were trying to pull that out of him, it was going to be like groundbreaking for the guy, but he quite didn't want to go there. He was on a conference call too, but that was something like, like I felt like he should have probably been talking to his therapist about what you guys were asking him. But instead, it was in this conference, and it made for good listening. I'll tell you, I wanted to listen to that shit.
Yeah, one of the things is, I don't know about therapy, Ralph, other than the part that me and Maria did.
Mhm.
I know anecdotally, which is to say that just from what I observe, that the people who come into my float center are not accustomed or acquainted with the issues that we're introducing to you folks here. which are really at the very core of why we, do silly shit in our lives and the stuff that shows up. So, I'm always, you know,
You've been giving counsel to people for years, so that's why I see that you're good at this. People,
yeah,
I think that for somebody to really get out of the, like if I floated once, if I didn't listen to these last 10 days, whatever we've been, been listening to
mhm,
this, it makes me think differently about the float. That's why I think like the float business, it almost could be marketed different. There's a lot of avenues where by looking at you and your website and the business, I didn't get this from the float. I like what I imagine is relaxation. But whereas the float is different. It's not just relaxation, it's therapy. You know what I mean? Mental therapy. It could be work therapy. You don't have to have issues in your life like marital, like whatever. It could really be work. Like Ken, people ask me shit at work all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? And I think now, man, you know what? What I should be going back into the tank with is the answers I've given these people. Try to remember better in the tank because when we're awake, you can't remember good. But maybe in the
yeah.
tank, you know what I mean? You get different things that are connecting.
Well, I'm gonna ask. I got John
Yeah.
on, so
Yeah, go
let's
ahead. Go
widen our
start.
conversation here. But you can stay on.
All right.
Hey, John.
Hey,
What's
Ken.
up, John?
Hey, Ralph. You're maybe things that maybe you need to be shut in more up there in New Jersey because you're the only motherfucker up there that's making sense to me these days. Okay, the things that you're talking about is something I've been bitching about here for years to the likes of Ken and Elise and Terry and so on. And they pretty much are embarrassed that people might be able to use it like you're talking about. I mean, and it just baffles me no damned end. I mean, baffles me no end. Because I sit and talk to them and say, guys, you got to look at what the hell's going on in your head here. And, Ken finally started listening, but it wasn't overnight. You're a lot more fun than Ken was.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, no, it hasn't been overnight for me either.
No, dude.
Yeah.
Listen.
You have to defend
No, no. You're. Hey, look, you're quick. Trust me on this, okay? But listen, there's a whole lot of things that we need to talk with you and people like you about that have nothing to do with blame and so forth. These are like just baby steps. Because if you could really understand what we're talking about here in terms of a larger concept or a larger abstraction or the next level, even next layer of onion skin, dude, you're going to do lots of things that you've never considered before, and you're going to be a star. You've already asked all the right questions. You just need to get the answers in an ordered fashion, so you say, oh, fucking A. And then it's like, I want to stand back out of your way because you're going to suck people in behind you and make them they'll be caught in your wake. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but this type of thinking, very interesting, different. What you guys are saying, everybody does. I'm very interested to know what the blame, what the conversation about blaming is.
Well, this is what Ken's going to tell you about. I don't know anything about this myself.
Yeah, sure. Don't believe him, Ralph.
I was about to say bullshit, but hey,
You could say it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Blame is. I mean, everybody nods their head and says, "Yeah, I know what blame is," and I think for the most part, the people we know just look at the dialogues that's going on, or blaming somebody for something that's going on with them. I've got a doctor friend who's out on the West Coast, and he's just railing in his social media posts. Just every post is about Trump was briefed by Obama, and Trump was, said, and say what you want. I can say a lot about the ineffective, which I probably is an understatement, way that Trump is handling things. But the question eventually becomes, like it does for me and my relationship with Maria, or me with my partners, or us in the country. All right, now what? You know, I'm going to sit there all day now and just rail against, you know, people and what's happening, and, you know, because they've created a situation. Where's the exit from that? Where's the solution?
Yeah.
And it's really right there where the ineffectiveness, or the ugliness, if you want to say, of blame rears its head. Where do you go from there? There's nowhere to go. You've caused this. You've done this to me. You've made me feel this way. I'm so angry. Okay. Now what? Now what? I mean, Ralph, I mean, really, my marriage teetered on this precise issue here for a while, as I suspect lots of marriages do. Yeah, you know, everybody, you know, both sides dig their heels in, and what's going on here is you caused it, and the other one thinks the same thing, and off to the races, and nothing ever gets resolved because both sides are blaming each other for what they're looking at. But I'm sure that if I'm looking at it, I had my hand in that recipe.
Why do we do that though? Like, yeah, you just described probably everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Why does human blame?
The studies say that we start that at about 3 or 4 years old. There's a specific age in which the studies have shown that when you put a child to play, and that you say, here's a candy, you can have this or not have it, the child will lie at a certain age about whether or not he ate it. And he'll eat it, okay, because it's tempting, and very few kids can leave it alone. Another one is that kids say, okay, if they're playing together at a certain age, that they stop facing the same direction and start facing each other. And what happens then at some time is if something's done wrong, either one of the kids will immediately start saying that it's the one who's in front of him, not he didn't do it, the other one did it, even though both of them may have done it, because they can't remember it. They're denying it. They're saying it didn't exist.
And do you think some people blame more than others?
You were talking about Jesse the other day. Jesse has learned to blame everything. You know, he doesn't. He is not capable actually of being able to say, okay, I did that. I mean, I brought that on myself. He can't. He can say, I did a wonderful thing, but he can't say, oh, I did this dumb thing. You know,
why can't he? Why do you think he can't take the blame?
I think because mommy always protected him. I mean, he was sick as a kid, and so every time anything happened, mom said, "Oh no, my honey is okay. Leave him alone." So he could be as mean as snot and get by with it, and he was and is. And then he smiles real pretty and bats his eyes at the lady folks and says, "I'm okay." And that because he uses the right feeling, he gets by with it. And so he's always surprised when some ugly old crusty dude says, "What the fuck are you doing, boy?" It's a terrible feeling.
How does he rewrite so he's not blaming?
What he's going to have to do is he's going to have to forgive himself for making mistakes. That's where it has to start. In other words, look, the thing is that the reason why that we're defending from that 4-year-old thing is that we never looked at it. We never went back to that time when we were little and somebody yelled and we felt it up and down our spines and we said, "Oh no," or we felt it in our butts, or we felt it in our gut, or wherever we felt it. "Oh no, I'm going to get in trouble if I do this." Okay. And so we wrote a program to blame somebody else for it. And we never went back and checked it. Nobody ever asked us about it. Who asked you about that? Nobody. Nobody. And so if I stop somebody and say, "Okay, why are you doing that?" It's I mean, from the looks on their faces, I know, Ralph, that more often than not, people are absolutely flabbergasted that I saw them doing that and asked them about it, because didn't I understand that they have the right to do that? What I thought, and that they'll say it just like, I thought you said, and it's like, I don't give a damn what you thought I said. You should have found out what I was saying and understood that, not decided what you think. That's an error. Now I can say it like that, and they'll say, "Oh, okay," and they'll nod their head up and down. But if I say, "Look, you stupid motherfucker, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up and just listen. You're not in trouble. I'm not mad at you. I'm frustrated, but I don't want you to do this thing now. Sit down. Now, shut up. I don't want to hear you." Now, if I can remember to stop, then I often can make a point. The problem is that I, like everybody else, get interlocked with excitation, and there are stupid things that people do that excite the fuck out of me, and I just have trouble making interlock, because I cannot believe that anybody's that goddamn stupid. Well, I'm sorry, but it's a fact. So, I mean, I've seen people drive from Greenville, South Carolina to Philadelphia in a frickin' snowstorm in a Volkswagen Beetle with the passenger side windshield wiper working and the driver's side wiper not working. Now, I thought that was I thought that was all of the stupidity that there could be. I've seen things that I can't believe that top that, and I'm having trouble understanding it. I'm telling you. That you would too, Ralph, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do. I come across it all the time.
I have no doubt. You should document it with, this is really serious. This is a serious thing. I one time had a bunch of guys that worked for me in a landscape company in LA. And the thing is that they, I had groups of people from different countries, okay? So I had some guys from San Salvador who were not from the city, okay? They were back from in the country somewhere. Things were bad where they lived. And they came and they asked me for a job, and I couldn't tell them no. They were honest guys, and they worked hard. And so I said, okay, here, come work right here. I'll hide you here. You guys can work. They had, I knew they were fake IDs, but they had IDs. So I said, okay, go work there. But they couldn't understand certain concepts like, what is a sphere? They couldn't get it.
I know what you're talking about. I work with similar guys.
Okay, and so I took pictures of what I wanted, of the plants I wanted them to prune. This was after 6 months of telling them and them sitting there nodding their heads every time. I took pictures of it, and I took a red magic marker, and I drew a circle around it where I wanted to prune. I said, here. And they said, oh, fucking A, we can do that. And I said, oh, I see. I didn't communicate information with you guys, did I? I was saying sphere and pissed off that you didn't understand what I was talking about. You have no idea what that is. Here, it looks like that. And they said, great. I've been trying to figure out how to take pictures of things like this and draw red lines over it for years. And so now and then, Ralph, I'm successful. And then again, I fuck up a lot. What can I tell you?
We all do.
Cool.
Yeah. So, like, what I was thinking about with this guy, John, your employee, like, and this is just, like things that happen in my world, and what my thought was when he messed up your tank, right? Yes, I didn't hear real good how he messed it up. I missed a little bit of that.
Oh, look, I'll tell you what. He's on. Jesse, why don't you explain it to Ralph? I'm sure he'd love to hear it.
Oh, great.
I'm going to put Jesse's, let's see. All right, Jesse's on.
Hey.
Jesse, say hello to Ralph. Ralph, Jesse.
Hi, Ralph.
What's up, Jesse? I've been listening to your story the past couple days.
Yeah, so I ran a whole bunch of fresh water into the tanks, and it drained all the salt out.
But how did you arrive at doing that?
I turned one of the keys that let the fresh water in.
Yeah, you turned a valve on, right?
Yeah, I turned the valve on.
Yeah, but when I asked you about it, what did you tell me you did?
I told you I got the pump to turn on.
Oh yeah, you turned a water valve on to get that pump to run, and you were surprised. You were surprised because I didn't buy that story. I take it.
So my question to you is now, like the mistake happens, whether you want to admit it or not, or what you told your boss or not. Okay. I've had the experience of when my guys make mistakes, their minds are somewhere else. Like in your case, again, this is just hypothetical thinking. Was your mind on your parents because the relationship wasn't right? You're not home, or for whatever reason the disconnect is. So you're thinking about that, not thinking about what's supposed to be in the
Wait,
tank.
Ralph, what? Jesse, is that true?
No.
Well, okay. Hey, my theory is wrong.
No, it's
Hold
okay.
on a sec. Yeah.
No, not so much.
Yeah.
Tell Ralph what was really going on. What happened there? It's okay. We got the salt already. So
Well,
okay.
I knew better, so I was going to show everybody how to get it done because I wanted to get it done.
Yeah. it just blows your mind, doesn't it?
That kind of did. I missed something there. Okay, now I'm getting laughs at. This is great. Yesterday was drama. Today's comedy.
Okay, Ralph, this is what happens when you blame shit right here.
I'm going to stop blaming. That's funny.
Okay.
So
Okay.
how did you guys end up with Jesse? He fixed it? He didn't fix it?
No, he didn't fix it. Well, he did. He hasn't fixed it yet, but he's going to. To get the salt here cost us I think it's 25 to 27,000 pesos. And
what's that American money?
I delivered it yesterday morning, actually, because if he didn't, we wouldn't have been able to get here because they closed the roads. And he came at 6 a.m. to deliver the salt because we're a good customer. I mean, that's the kind of favors we had to pull in to fix this. I mean, I'm sure you understand pulling in favors, right, Ralph?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So what? Jesse flushed the salt out and down the drain, essentially flushing 26,000 pesos.
Well, he didn't flush that much, except that I can't get any less than that delivered.
Oh.
I had enough here. I had like a nearly a ton here.
That's rough in crisis time to make you spend the whatever that is. That's really, Jesse. That's a pretty big. You know what I'm saying? I think in normal times it's bad.
I know what you're saying.
People can't eat right now.
But wait! You haven't heard the best part yet.
Right.
He got pissed off because I kept saying, "Okay, just tell me what the fuck were you thinking about?" Mm-hmm. If you can't tell me that, you can't be here. I just can't turn you loose. I can't. I didn't take you to race. I'm not babysitting you. I'm not going to childproof my damn business just because you're here. So rather than talk to me, he called an Uber and moved into a fucking hotel by the airport. The only fucking hotel in all of Puerto Vallarta that's still damn well open, that's filled with all the people coming in and out of the damn airport with coronavirus. So he comes back to my house then and is surprised I stuck his ass on the patio to enjoy it down there all by himself until his quarantine is the fuck over. Now, am I punishing the motherfucker or what? Huh?
Punishing. I feel like you're helping the guys. You saved this guy's life. He stays in that hotel. He's Corona City.
I couldn't. They were shutting the hotel down.
So why do you think that you made that? Is it an instant mistake? You touch a button, that's it, it's flushed, or is it something that takes time to lose that much salt?
Oh, it takes time.
7 hours.
So what were you thinking about? Your girlfriend? You broken up?
Nope, none of that. We went out with one of the workers here with Maritza, and I was just out and about doing other things. Didn't even think about it. And then a floater came in to float, and then I went to check on the tanks, and the water was overflowing into the shower drain.
Oh. So why'd you turn the knob to do that in the first place? Like, where was your head when you were doing that?
I was just trying to get it done. I thought I knew better.
But what were you trying to get done?
To get the pump running.
So the pump broke. You were trying to fix the pump.
No, it was unplugged.
Oh, yikes.
Not only was it unplugged, but he'd been told the reason why it was been unplugged because the guy that was going to fix it wanted to pull hair out of it because Jesse couldn't figure that part out. And so the other guy that works here all the time said, leave that alone, I'll get it. And so
Wow.
Jesse knew better. He was going to show him. So he turned my water valve on, which made the pump run, of course, even though the pump was unplugged.
That's a rough mistake. That's a rough mistake. So how does it?
No, it's expensive too because it is because the internet that he's on wasn't for free. We had to get that too because for him to be on the internet, we had to get another router and put it down on the damn. You understand?
Yeah, he's staying on the patio, quarantined, Ralph, so that he doesn't get anybody else's asses sick from what he was exposed to at the hotel.
Yeah, and I think that's the most logical thing possible. You know what I'm saying? Especially, I don't know how old you are, John, but I feel like you're more at risk than a kid. You know what I mean? And from what the news is talking, so why take a chance for? I don't know how well you know Jesse. You know what I'm saying? It's life or death, not.
I know Jesse perfectly well, and I know that the little motherfucker can stay down there on the patio until I get his attention. It's okay. I mean, if he lives through it, I'm going to applaud and say, well, that's great. But he's still got bunches of questions he's going to have to answer. So
Yeah.
How old is Jesse? Is he a young kid?
How old are you, Jesse?
I'm 36.
Wow, man. You know what? I've the kind of talk a little bit that Jesse's saying I've experienced, but with the 18, 19-year-olds at work. You know what I mean? And then when I've noticed some of them after 10 years, they snap out of it. They grow up. But Jesse, you're you know what I'm saying? You're not a kid.
Nope, I'm not.
How do you fix it? How'd you guys where'd you guys leave off?
Oh, Ralph, here's the thing. I don't accept idiots in my house. I have a sign that hangs up just as you come out of my kitchen into the living room. There's a sign that says, in the fiddler's house, everybody dances.
Huh. That's pretty funny.
And so Jesse's in the process of learning to dance.
Yep.
And so, I'm not mad at him or anything else, but I need his attention. And I think that Jesse's going to be a much happier young man once it is that he can give attention rather than put all that into blame. The Chinese or the Japanese have a saying, you fix the problem, not the blame.
Yeah. And
it's like that. This is the idea here. I don't care who's at fault. I don't care why he did it. Even I care that I'm like you. I want to know what was he thinking about when he was doing it, so that we can correct the thoughts, or so that we can resolve whatever the problem is. But I'm not mad at him for doing it. I mean, shit happens. People do stupid things. Hell, I've done a couple of stupid things. Being on this call is one, for instance.
That makes us the Three Stooges then.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, but the idea here isn't about that. It's that in reality, Jesse's an honest man. He's fairly adept. He's good at being a rolfer, but he's as goofy as a pet snake. And the reason really why this takes place, Ralph, is because Jesse's not human.
What is he?
He's gay.
That doesn't make him human? How does that not make him human?
No. He's human after he's gay.
Yeah, I would imagine you're human first, no?
See, that's my opinion too. But I'm having difficulty convincing Jesse of this. And so because I'm trying to convince him of that, he's showing me that he's really gay, by goddamn, and turning my water valve on and running all the salt down the thing to see if he can fuck around with my business. And so he can sit down there in the patio and get over his yeah, what is that? The 21-day quarantine, 14-day quarantine. And we got to see if the motherfuckers got a temperature or not.
Mm-hmm.
Or a pulse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really. You know, at 37, you know, he's at risk. He's risk.
Well, if he has a pulse when it's over, maybe we have something to work with, because at this point, I don't know if he has one. You know, he's a good guy. I mean, you know, he's got a mind. I've seen it in action, but you know, when it's like you say, when it's occupied somewhere else, boy, that, you know, what's there instead of the mind is just astounding.
Again, in my experience, and you know, this new blame, and you know, the way, like this new way of thought you guys are talking is new to me. But in my experience with Jesse, or people in general,
Jesse's,
and now,
Jesse Juniors, right. I got lots of them. Yeah, and so do you. You work with
when
people who have them.
When they're single, they can't concentrate on work as much as like somebody who's together with somebody. And I have gay people working for me too. I have the same scenarios. When they're with a partner, somehow their brains are more focused at work. But the single people, those are the guys that wind up being like the servers. You know what I mean? The least responsible people, because
boys.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whereas the people that are usually married, they do their, you know, or even with somebody in their lives. That's sometimes what I've come to terms with. Like, if Jesse doesn't have a mate in his life,
okay,
I don't know. I don't think we think the same.
Okay, here I'm gonna give you a proof for your theory here. You ready? One of the basic things that we talk about here, one of the basic things that we use to look at something, okay, in other words, a platform to stop and say, okay, where am I here on this road now? As we say, okay, there are three concepts that we have to have in play at any given time. We have to be at one with ourselves. We can't be saying, okay, I'm this and I'm that. Whatever I am, I am. You know, if I'm a fuck up, then that's who I am. I'm a fuck up. If I'm smart, then I'm smart. If I'm dumb, then I'm dumb. If I'm average, then I'm average. But I'm just that. I'm not something at work and something at home and something at the barbershop and something on when I play soccer. I'm that thing, whatever it is. That's a concept. Another concept is harmony. And that means that you have to get along with other freaking people. You have to be able to find a way to talk to them. You know, what do you think? I need to hear what you're saying. And the third part of that is do, and it's like, what is it that you want to accomplish with a conversation? What is it you want to accomplish at your job? What is it you want to accomplish it in whatever you're doing? If somebody can't be in harmony, if someone is not demonstrating harmony, they're really untethered. And so they have to find a place to be in harmony. They actually have to be tethered someplace, like you say. If they're not, then they're only in their own head, and they're running around and around and around and around in there. I mean, it's like one of those squirrels on one of them wheels, you know? I mean, they generate lots of electricity. I mean, getting close to them will shock the living crap right out of you. You know, it'll leave a scar. But I mean, they ain't going nowhere. But they run the machinery running. It's smoke flying everywhere. It's brutal. Yeah, it is. But I think you're right because of that. Because we have to have the harmony part, or we can't communicate. We can't do.
So is that something that's going on with Jesse? You think? Is that his scenario?
I think that yes, it is, number one, and number two, I think that something else that's going on for Jesse is that he's considering what a partner would even look like, and I think he's just all lost in what the hell he would be, they would be, etc. And you know, of course, he can't talk about it because he's gay, and nobody understands that because everybody else is human.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I guess Jesse could answer, but I don't think he's had a partner in his life to even answer that question. He's thinking about that now.
Well, first of all, he's a guy. I think first we're men, because that's the only thing we know. Then I think we're human, because we're definitely different than women. And I don't know how women think, but you know, I want to say, just like I'm attracted to a woman, I'm going to imagine Jesse is a guy.
I want to read your book. If you figure out how to talk or whatever women, I want to read that book.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Me too. Should sign me up.
Yeah. Write that, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, before you print it, check with your old lady about that one. I bet she has other opinions.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
just do a
that's it.
quick reality. At this very
Okay.
moment, Ralph, where in your house are you talking to us from?
My garage.
Oh,
For sure. I gotta, over here I can be
now
as
that
unrated as I
wasn't
want.
fair. You know better already. That wasn't nice.
I'm in a house of all women, all right? You guys understand that. I got female kids. I even got a female dog. They're all women.
Yeah,
My time away.
I got it, dude. Don't worry. I got that one. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. You threw me off. What were you saying? Because we were onto something.
Say it again, Ralph.
So I like you threw me off. We were onto something. I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about what Jesse knowing what he's looking for, not being tethered to have that
Okay, exactly. You know what you
experience
said
of
the
being in
magic
harmony.
word.
Here,
So
and
here's
Ralph,
a question.
okay, well, hold on. Let me give you the other part of this thing so you can follow it. Okay.
Go ahead.
The other side of that is that, look, if those three issues are active in two people communicating, what happens is they make something real called a business or a family or a baby or a car or a house or whatever the hell they're making real. And they're both involved with that because they're both doing that thing that makes that and holds that in place. That's something that that people like Jesse and George and Rhodey and so forth, Chris Olson, they have a lot of trouble with that because they refuse to actually find out who they themselves are. They're afraid of that relationship. They're afraid that they'll lose something instead of gaining everything that there is. They're just too stupid to understand it. But they say it's because they're men. I say it's because they're dumb. But it could be whatever.
Men are dumb.
Yeah.
We're dumb like that.
Okay, that's cool. I used to be dumber than that even. But then once upon a time, I don't know, I think a bird shit on my head or something. And it's like, it just got in there. And I don't know how it happened.
Can a person that's not tethered, like now in Jesse's situation, how does one, get himself in harmony, untethered with another person? Because I feel like that's important when you have somebody to communicate with.
Here's the thing, Ralph. He actually has to give and keep his word. When I've actually understood that for myself in business and everything, lots of things changed for me, not only for me personally, but also in the society in which I lived and so forth, okay? Because that's a fairly rare quality, as you have I'm sure you understand that people who give and keep their word are few and far between, okay?
Yeah.
There are not a lot of them.
No.
Okay. And so the thing is that if you're not tethered, the only other way to do it is to be able to give and keep your word. And that, by God, that's a lot more educational than being married. If you go into business and you say, okay, yep, this is I'm going to, by gollies, this is what I'm going to do, and you can count on me here. I'm going to keep my word right here. Man, I don't care whether it's paying employees or putting you do banquets, when that's done and it's all over and the daddy comes by and pays you and you say, fuck, I'm done, man. I mean, you know what it took to get that done. You know what kind of tension it took. You know what kind of energy you had to generate, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of discipline is what these guys are all missing is that they're not aware that it's in them even. It's there. They just don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah. So, and I think you're right with keeping your word, because something like inadvertently, I think we all do things inadvertently.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I know inadvertently I've kept my word, and it just so happens I do good in business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it ain't an accident that the man keeps his word. I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
Because precisely because you do fuck up, right? I mean, I've gone on jobs and I just fucked it up or didn't think about that particular thing. It's like, oh, damn, I got to get this done by this time. And I don't have that part and they're closed until Thursday. And
Yeah.
And so I have to go figure out another solution anyway because I gave my freaking word. You understand that? It's got look this. There it is. I'm done with it. I got it done. Was it done perfect? No, I fucked it up. But can you tell? No, you can't. Can I tell? Oh yeah, I can tell. I can tell I'm not doing this again.
So a person that quits is in some sense like broken.
If you go see what that's the thing, they run away rather than facing it, rather than saying no, I'm going to. They say, oh, it's easier to run away. What if I don't do it? I'm gonna get in trouble. Mommy gonna be mad at me. Okay, wham.
Yeah,
I'm so sad. I'll cry tomorrow. But that's blame, right, Ralph? That's that thing we've been talking about. That's blame.
Something that comes into my head in all this logic, and I asked it the other day, and I remember the girl asked me like it doesn't matter, but somehow I feel like it does. Somebody's financial status, like where they're on the money pole, I think really, really helps with the way they think. And again, maybe it's inadvertently because somebody who makes money thinks that way.
It's the other way around. If it isn't daddy's money, thank you, Mr. Trump. Okay. If it's they're doing it themselves. Okay. What it is, it's how they think because something that you can bet on is that remuneration is proportional to service to humanity.
Explain that.
Okay. If I'm going to get paid, okay, I'm going to get paid more if I do a service to more people or if my service is for more people. Okay. In other words, Steph Curry is worth a pile of a dump truckload of money. They measure his paycheck in terms of shovelfuls of $100 bills, right? Because what he does entertains the entire frickin' world. Okay, the same thing for LeBron James or for what the hell is it? Pick a pitcher that throws over 100 miles an hour. Or a slider at 105 or something. Who does that? Or what's that guy's name? The Mexican guy, Colon or whatever his name. It strikes people out with this absolutely nasty curveball. He's been doing it for 20 years already. Who throws a curveball for 20 years like that? Who has an elbow that can hold up for that long, throwing a curveball like that in the bigs? No. Okay, that's a special guy. He gets paid anything he wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You and I, we don't have that skill. So what we have to do is we have to do what we do best. And what you do is you organize and you sell booze and you sell food and you put that all together and say, here, you want to party? Hell, dude, you're talking to the right dude if you want to party. You eat at the party. I'm the guy. Eat at the party. That's me. Hey, look, that's, that you do that. Yes. It's not easy, and you have to think like crazy about it. You don't dare to blame anybody. It doesn't make any difference whether it's coming together right or not. You can't say it's your fault. You got to go. You still got to go fix it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, anyway, I'm sorry to take your time here, Ken. I'm not actually. I enjoy talking to your friend Al.
Thanks.
So
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
Well, this is the topic for tonight. We had some slides and some things. I don't even know. Is Terry on as a panelist? Or did you drop off there, Terry? I don't see you. Well, so let me just invite any other people who want to comment on blame, panelists or otherwise, to make a comment. We're almost out of time, but I'll open it up for comments, questions, discussion. Okay.
Hey, Ken, do you think maybe Jesse has had a moment to think about some things that might want to comment on where this is moving for him?
That's a good idea.
And there's a lot of frank conversation there from some people with a lot of worldly experience. And you know, maybe there's something he got out of that.
Let's ask him. Jesse, you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear what Paul asked?
Yeah. Instead of what I did, like I knew I did it. And instead of taking the time to try to make some lame ass excuse as to why I did it, you know, I did it. That's all there is to it. And I wasted a lot of time blaming and not being honest with myself about what I did. And there was no way to really fix it. I just had to wear the fact that I did it, and I knew I did it. And I've had a lot of time to look back and see where I've done that through my life, where I just put the blame on other people for things that I've done and never took responsibility for my own actions. And this was a pretty loud and clear, hey, you're responsible, up from turning the valve and putting the water in the tanks to going to the hotel in the middle of a pandemic. And I'm the one responsible for those things, and blaming has gotten me in nothing but a lot of trouble. And to see why I do those things, and to see that I waste a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to change something that I can't change is really what I'm getting out of this. Is that I have to be able to be counted on, that people can count on me, because I say I'm going to do something, and that's what I'm going to do. And and I think it was spot on talking about me not being in a relationship. I've had one or two, but have always wondered what that relationship would look like for me. It's like I was still debating whether I wanted to be with a woman or a man, and I was still doubting the fact that I was gay. And that has taken up a lot of my energy in a lot of places. And it's like, okay, what does that look like to me? And what would that look like? And what would people think? And I've been so caught up in what other people think about my relationships and my sexuality that I've wasted energy trying to hide it or be something other than who I am. And I can see where all of those places is where I've wasted a lot of my energy and a lot of my thoughts and a lot of where my mind's at. And letting myself get distracted that way has gotten myself in quite a predicament.
I think that's where it's at, because I know me in my life, I can make a lot of mistakes, but nothing distracts me unless if I'm not right with my woman, I can't fucking work. You know what I mean? I'm off. And if you're not straight with that, then you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something I've thought about for most of my life, at least starting around 13, 14.
Yeah, I think you just got to come to terms and find somebody. There's somebody for everybody. And somehow, I don't know, you'll feel better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. What else you got, Ralph or Jesse?
So now to take it back to the float, right? Because this is all about the float. So now, in Jesse's case, if he goes into float and just thinks about all these things we're talking about tonight, is he supposed to get a clearer picture, a better memory of why or what is causing him to feel whatever he's feeling? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. The first thing to consider is the float doesn't do any. John's going to come back on, but I'll squeeze a few words in. The float doesn't do anything by itself. You can reprogram the same silly shit in over and over again after a float. Now, you do have access to a level of thought there where if you're a grown-up-y kind of person there that wants to do something, you can fine-tune, let's call it the origin point of that behavior. and, you know, all the feel goods or whatever it was. How did you put it, Ralph? Mommy's boy, daddy's boy, whatever the origin point is for Jesse, he's perfectly capable. He has the skills to go back and do that. Floating's is a great tool to be able to do that.
Who's going to coach him through that? That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he can take advantage by thinking about in the float, but who coaches him through that process? Like, you know, like he needs a kind of rewrite, like you said. Like how does exactly he know that? By a person just coming to the float and visiting you guys, and you know what I'm saying? And like connecting those two things, the float that does nothing and this thing that, you know, you're trying to kind of promote that does a lot.
Yeah. I'll looking to see who one way to think about it is like movement toward and movement away. You know, the kind of people there, right? Like they come in to work for you and you know that they're green and they don't know how to do things or to wash dishes or to serve, and you're showing them the right way to do it, and they're either taking a step forward and learning, or they're taking a step away saying that they're right and they can do it themselves, and that. The first group is mature people. I'm interested in them, and in the float center, you know, I'm looking out for them, especially they get out of a float. They've just visited a part of awareness, and now they're out of the float. They're talking about the things that they thought about in the float. I'm very much interested to see if they're the kinds of people who will adjust, or whether they're the kinds of people who are going to dig their heels in and argue and they're all right. And, you know, I'll watch. In the first group, hey, let's chat. The second group, we have a pot of tea over there. You can go get a cup of tea.
So now that's something like what? Like as a consumer, I purchase like a package.
Okay.
You know, like I'm asking, like, does that, you know, that means an hour float, an hour of your time? Because I feel like these things, listening to you guys each night, kind of helps with the mental of what you could think about in the float. But again, how does a person just who's walking off the street kind of get into all this?
Well, yeah, we're,
You know what I mean?
You know, I think we're kind of working on that, huh, Ken? Ralph, this is so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, that's Paul Grench. Paul, you met Ralph.
I remember him.
Yeah, Paul runs a company. These thoughts are.
Hi, Ralph. Really nice to have you on tonight, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Although I don't think I answered your question, Ralph, did I?
Yes, that's. I'm waiting to hear. You know, I know it's getting late.
No, that's all right. Yeah, you know, I owe you an answer to the question. Look, my job is, I'd say, pretty easy. That I want to deal with real shit, right? And like the stuff like we're talking about early with like Jesse, where he identifies himself first and foremost as gay. Okay? That's not real shit. But Jesse's not a Lone Ranger there. It's pretty much defines my prototype client coming into quantum floats. Is that I know that they're often, if not most often, they're not dealing with real stuff. They've got some fantasy woven in their thought. I'm not good enough. I'm not big enough. Nobody loves me, whatever it is. Okay. So the question that I have that I pay attention to is, can they deal with something real? But I have to be the facilitator of that type of inquiry. I can't be passive in that regard. I have to be, hey, what's going on? How was that? What was your float like? What, you know, what's going on with you? Whatever it is, it doesn't take much for the fantasy to come out. The question I have always is, do you want to do something about it? You interested? I don't care one way or the other, Ralph. I can't, because I can't make anybody, nor do I want to. But I do want to very much see who's sniffing around.
Yeah, like I feel like, all right, somebody who comes into a float, would they be that honest with you? Like you know what I'm saying? Like if I don't know that's what's going to be promoted, and you were to ask me that again, you've asked me, and you're my friend, so I'm open with the conversation. But if you're just a guy on the other side of the counter, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like your credentials. Like, you know what's funny? First night I met John on this, I really didn't know. I made a joke on the thing, you know, like whatever. But then afterwards, I wound up looking him up, and then I realized he was the author of The Office of Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh, his credentials. So now when he talks, you listen. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the float. How do I, you know, like, yeah, you're counsel to fucking all kinds of people. But how does the guy, Ryan the electrician, who, when I told him this, is very interested, get connected with this kind of thought by he comes float? Is it like a 15-minute conversation with you, or is it a float and then he needs these therapy sessions with quantum float for indefinitely until he figures himself out?
Let's hope.
Hope.
No, not really. Yeah, you know, like when Ryan comes in, like a friend, like he matters, like he's a good dude, and give him the respect and trust right up front, and then see what Ryan does.
And how does he
You
get
know,
the
like if
knowledge
I've got
of the rewrite, the book, the thought, like these steps that you guys are talking about? Like you've been
Okay.
talking we've been talking for hours.
Yep.
You know, how do you squeeze that into? You just like I did the float when I came
Yeah.
out. I felt like, you know, let me, you know, let's exchange. I want to get out of there at that point. You know what I'm saying? I felt the conversation could have been before the float, not after, in my experience. But even then, if I don't know you guys, I don't know if I would give up things like my marital, my business, my, you know, shit that's going on in my head that's fucking me up. You know what I mean? To strangers, kind of, even though you're asking. We're all good at covering. You know, you might ask the right question, and it might make me.
Ralph, you might be surprised the shit that I've listened to people tell me, but haven't met me for more than 5 minutes, and be sitting there telling me stuff that would curl the hair on a donkey. I'm telling you what. I mean, they sit there and just because, well, I can go get that stuff too, and that might have something to do with it, but probably not.
Yeah, say it again, John. You can go get that stuff?
Well, I've been known to, so.
To be able to fish it out, you're saying? Is that?
Well, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great to encounter real people, but I would just imagine that there's got to be a facade put up in the customer exchange of what you're doing. In some way, it's relaxation, like coming in, looking at it from the outside, reading everything about floating. I didn't get this. And this is very interesting.
Yeah, Ralph, here's the thing. I've been kind of growly about this for a number of years. As a matter of fact, well, Kim can probably tell you why I'm real growly about it. And if Elise were on, she could probably get it to you chapter and verse. And I'm sure I can hear Paul over there giggling away right now. And you know, you might as well go ahead and tell him, Ken. You know, I mean, don't leave it to me to tell him. You can tell him why. You guys have all been. Come on, you tell him that. You know, I'm taking. Come on, do it.
All right. How do it?
There's a lot of questions there. There's like half a dozen.
Yeah, no. In some sense, it starts with a nod of the head that yes, thanks, John. Thank you for your help. But tucked away is an argument or something that remains in my thinking that I just don't want to that I didn't want to resolve. It just, you know, so if you came into the float center when I opened it, you would have seen John's books stacked up there on the bookshelf like they are now, but I never talk about it because I was embarrassed. I thought John was rough around the edges. I'm a nice lawyer guy. It
sounds cult-like a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, but well, hold on, you know. But I think one of the things John's growly about is that I cultified the business, right? Because just think about what it's like walking into a float center, and you can almost tell that something is not quite right. The person who's behind the desk, Ken Kaplan, is not quite being forthright because I wasn't, you know, and it came across that I was not being upfront and straight with people. You know, I was embarrassed about who I was, even, you know, can I do this? Am I big enough? can I talk about the soul? I'm just a little Jewish lawyer from Long Island, and I had to cycle through a lot of baggage, a lot of arguments, and a lot of things that I held on to the very nature of like who I was and what I am, and and it's been a fairly long road for me. I think John's gripes are probably because that I'm at the point where it shouldn't even be a discussion now that we're having here about this thing.
Well, that would kind of sum it up in a nutshell, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think somehow if the floater could have the information to what you guys are talking about here and how problem solving is, and again, I did notice who's the girl? What's the lady's name that was working the counter that day when I did the float? She's our friend with the cars. She brought us to the car place, Ken.
Bridget.
Okay. I did notice Bridget was special because she was trying to like do what you guys are talking about right now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And but since I don't know Bridget, she saw a facade of Ralph. You know what I mean? And I want to get into float and be down to float. Whereas that if I knew that, like, talking about this or getting a little bit more of this information and knowing that Bridget's involved in this, hey, Bridget, how did you go about your rewrite? Or already like kind of like her encouraging that, hey, going into the float, you should be thinking about these things. And then after your first float, these are your next steps. That would have made the float a little bit clearer for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
wait, Ralph. You always ask about the right people, but you don't ever quite see the whole story because you're not around enough. But we're fixing that for you. Trust me, this is going to be more fun to do for Ellen. Okay, Ken, who's Bridget, and what did she do in a rewrite?
Well, Ralph knows Bridget, of course. Bridget.
Yeah,
Okay, so Bridget did the intro class, right? That comes first. We do that first. Then she did a rewrite in pretty fast. In fact, very fast comparatively. But you got to think about Bridget. Everything for Bridget has to be done super fast. Okay, so she...
Wait, can I quote in a New York minute?
Yeah, in a New York minute, Bridget had to finish everything. So she got through her rewrite, and then she immediately said, I want to do a business plan. So,
now I'm on board. Now I know the Bridget we're talking about.
You know the Bridget. So
okay.
You did that. So because, Ralph, one of the things we do is we'll do business plans, but it's not the kind of bullshit business plans that lawyers read all day long, which is just this nonsense that a couple people get together and say, this is our business plan, investors. We do a business plan where you got to deal with the thoughts in the business. Otherwise, the fuck you doing if you're not dealing with the thoughts, right? So there came a point with Bridget where, I don't remember where the break point was. It was something that she just didn't want to look at how she gets along with people, that she blows them off. And so I asked her about that one day when we were doing her business plan. I forget, it was something like that. And I got back the response, fuck you, Ken, I'm done. Okay? Now, I know she's mad, and I know, people get angry. Everybody's got a right to get angry. And, there's no doubt Bridget's going to be thinking about the things that John and I and others pointed out to her. No doubt. It gets in there, Ralph. It's working her. But we rocked her world in terms of stopping her long enough so that she could maybe, just maybe, pay attention to something that's just critical to her business. Because she wants to go around now introducing people and putting them together in a networking way where relationships have everything to do with it, except she had a funky way of doing relationships based on her model from a kid. So when that got called into question, she was either going to resolve it or bolt, and she bolted for at least the time being.
And that's where she's at now? She's in the Bolt? She's in
the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I just figured from a person with her experience with the business, if she could have, again, like, she's going through it as a novice or getting the people in to start, like, because you guys are talking about, what was the first thing you said about the first class? When you were talking to John, you said before she did a rewrite, she did
the introduction
intro.
to
Intro. Like, I didn't understand there even was an intro. Like, that's what I don't, you know what I mean? Like, coming into the float, it's like, oh, there's an intro, there's a rewrite, like there's this process that goes with floating, not just coming here and, floating.
yeah.
I have a suspicion that that issue is just about to be resolved, bro. I don't know. I have this feeling that resolution is just about to take place. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And as for Bridget, that's a shame that she's in, because she does have good qualities. At the same time, Ken, it's real hard to kind of put good qualities and make money, be a business. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and people base their success of a business on, how much they could make, because they got to support themselves. So that's a rough poke at somebody, especially when it's their financial, and it just, I think I know Bridget may be divorced. So if she's divorced and financially struggling, that's what I was talking about. Like, if Bridget had financial backing, she may have different thoughts, but because she may be in a certain,
you wouldn't be able to do it, dude, because she's a bomb fixing to explode. She's looking to fight with anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why she blew up. That's why she blew up in the
girl. In fact, I think she's fucking brilliant. Really, I do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story, only because I know this guy.
Yeah.
Multi-millionaire, right? Serves fucking wine at his mansion down the shore. All right. Everybody that comes knows this guy's fucking mega loaded. They drink. They think it's the best wine. Meanwhile, I know that he served $4 a bottle wine. But why did people think that it was so good? Because a guy with money said it was good and he was serving it at his house. So again, I'm not only going, I don't know how that goes with logic, but in business, somebody who doesn't have, it's tough to kind of make more money and get what you think is right. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you're starting from the bottom, it's like that struggle, and that feeling of that struggle is rough to get. So when you're poking at that, that's where I think Bridget's at right now. You poked at something that's fucking broken her, where it's people need to, it's like it's if you break some, when I've always noticed in like military fashion, of course, if you break somebody, you got to rebuild them. You know what I mean? But I don't like that kind of mentality. That was, for me, the 90s. In 2020, it's I don't know. It's not about breaking people anymore.
Yeah, but let's give me another way to look at it. I don't want to break Bridget, nor do I think I can break Bridget. But,
or people.
Or people. But once I started to really pay attention and get to know Bridget, this thing about relationships started to become really clear to me as she described every relationship she's ever been in. And then it became clear that the main event that really is holding her down in terms of what she says she wants to do is this thing that I'm paying attention to. So then I was considering, like, all right, like, so here's a woman that I'm friends with her and I like her very much and she's hanging out and I'm enjoying her hanging out and she's a smart lady. Yet I can see there's an aspect of how she thinks about things that goes to the very heart of what she says she wants to accomplish. Okay, it kind of raises the question for me, at least it did for me over the years, is like, what's Kaplan like in terms of being a friend? What's really friendship like? Because had you met me a bunch of years ago, I had a different definition of friendship. I wasn't about going to those intimate places with people like Bridget to give them a hand to see something that is causing the grief in their life, and especially when they're laying out what their business plan is supposed to be. And I can see that they ain't going to get there using the old thinking that they brought from childhood. I don't think like Bridget had anybody really other than me, and I introduced her to John and to Paul and to Jenny, that ever took the time to tell her or to show her those thoughts. I had a guy once who did an intro class and left after the first day. He called me the second day and said, I'm not coming back. And I said, well, how come you're not coming back? And he said, because I checked with my friends about what you pointed out yesterday during the first day of the intro class, and they all disagreed and said I'm wonderful. Not much of a surprise there, right, Ralph?
Listen, whenever you explain to somebody, you paint a version of the story you want people to hear. So who knows what he said? You know what I mean?
Well, it isn't that. It's that he didn't want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
That's all.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
nice guy too, by the way. I liked him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to the blame thing, just you ouch. I don't do that. Ouch. Well, I'm watching it. I can see it. No, I don't do that. Ouch. You think you might want to do something different? Fuck you. I just, okay. Sorry to point it out.
Yeah.
A cup of tea over there for you.
But one comes to the float to be pointed out and then resolved. No.
Yeah.
Through. So pointing it out too hard is that because like again this one guy.
No, look, stop, Ralph. No. When do you deal with things, Ralph? Tomorrow or now?
Right. Now and real as possible.
There you go. Okay. When I ask somebody a question, I say, okay, you're doing this thing now and real, or are you not? And they'll either admit that yes, they are, and no, they're not. If they're not, then it's fine. Then they're not. Here, it looks to me like you're doing that. I'm not arguing with you, but can you explain it to me? If they explain it to me, I'm in. If they even try to explain it to me, I'm in. I'll stick with them for years. But if they lie to me, I'm done. It's like, okay, it's okay. You can, whatever. I'm good.
Yeah, but like in Bridget's case, is she lying to you about her business
Absolutely.
plan?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, she is.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, Ralph. I like that girl. And in fact, I really thought that I could do something with her, because I think that she could actually be good for Ken's business, like by a lot. But not when she's mad about everybody and saying it's everybody's fault that she's mad and stomping around. When people say, hey, well, okay, explain what this means to me, please.
I agree. She had some talents because we went to her networking meeting, and she has a good way of connecting.
I think she probably has a really good way, but she also has a temper. Yeah. And it's like, how do you, if people, I used to know this girl that she was really good looking until you got her in the light, and then she wasn't so good looking then. I mean, she's Bridget's one of them girls. Shine a light on her. Phew, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, but she's forced to work now after she's in her mid-50s. She got a divorce, and now she's coming into the working.
Yeah, and it's like that's the thing that I really admire about her, that she's doing that. And I'm not against it all trying to give her a hand with it, or actually giving her a hand with it, or however you want to call it. I don't have a hassle with any of that. Yeah. What I have a hassle with the girl is about something else entirely, and that is that, God damn it, it's not my fault that you're pissed off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play with you from there.
Yeah, I'm not mad at her. I don't. Yeah, I still have an olive branch out and invite her to things, and but if and when she comes back, the main event is still going to be the place that we left off, because that's the main event for her, and where she's really struggling. So I can't be mad at her.
In some way, we're all different, right? We all have our you got your personality, I have my personality, right? And a person,
this isn't a matter of personality, though, Ralph. I mean, we could say that, right? But that's not what this is about. This is about something else entirely. What this is really about is about whether or not Bridget is going to do what she says she's going to do, whether or not she can actually give and keep her word in this instance. I have no hassles with her about whether she's trustworthy or whether she's a good girl or any of those kinds of things. My hassle with her is simply, and I mean simply, that you can't blame everybody and have a fit and stomp away just because somebody said something that you don't approve of.
Yeah.
You know, they might be that they're trying to give you a hand. They might be saying, here, adjust this rate, plan this out a little bit better here.
Yeah,
Think
but for
about
her,
this
it could also have been she was looking for an answer, and she got a question answered with a question. You know what I mean? And then that kind of messes people up sometimes. Like if she came to Ken looking for, okay, if my business plan isn't right, help
No,
me make
no.
one that is right.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's exactly what she came for,
Yeah.
and that was it was perfectly clear that that's what she was getting.
Yeah.
No, she
I don't
didn't
think
have she didn't have any hassle of understanding that.
No, I don't think she got the answer she wanted, but she got an honest one.
Yeah.
Well,
What did she want? She wanted
she wanted
the
everybody
big
to
fish.
tell her no.
Wonderful, Bridget. It's wonderful. You're wonderful. This business is going to be wonderful. Go out and
And
do
it's
this wonderful
fabulous.
business.
It's just purely
Fabulous.
fabulous. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Fabulous is wow. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, fabulous.
Like, well,
And I didn't mind playing the fabulous role and everything to a point, but it wasn't fabulous. It was like, okay, do that. This isn't what you're saying. Are you sure that that's what you want to present it as? The plan that you're saying here and what you're telling me you want to do as it doesn't line up. It's okay. But which one do you want to do? You want to be mad instead of lining it up? Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, like and I understand that you guys are trying to give the answers. I'm just guessing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
My experience sometimes, the way I went about telling somebody how they had to do something was whether they did it or not.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, I have fucked that one up so many times that you have no idea. I mean, I have scars everywhere on how much I fucked that one up. But just between you and me and the fence post, it doesn't really make a fuck of a bit of difference when it gets all said and done. What ends up happening is that I can do the best I can do, and every now and then I don't do it very well. And I can be forgiven if everybody else can be forgiven. And if you want me to you want to be mad at me about not being perfect, you can stick it someplace where the sun doesn't. And I'm easy there.
okay.
Oh, we went late night over here.
That's all right. We covered what we needed to cover, and Ralph, it was it was great having you on because
Anytime.
it's awesome.
Anytime.
Well then, thanks Ralph, and thanks John, and thanks Jesse for coming on, and thanks other attendees and panelists and everyone else. And we'll see you tomorrow. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.